All right, welcome. Good morning. It's early for me, but I'm glad to be here filling in for my man Josh Engelman, who's dealing with some serious personal stuff right now with the hurricane close to taking out the state of North Carolina. We all wish him safe. I'm Dave Lochran filling in for him with Jake Harry. I pronounced that right, right? Just Harry?
That's Hari, but yeah.
It's Hari. I got
Yep.
it wrong
No,
already.
no, you're good. You're good. I've been called
All
much
right,
worse than
filling
that.
in for Josh, the strategy show, going game by game here. I'm guessing it's pretty similar to the deeper dive then that Adam and
Yeah.
I do at night, just covering game by game. Except you guys take a much earlier look at it. I got big shoes to fill here. I'll do my best. We're going to cover the late slate or the main slate first. We've got 8 games, and then 4 on the early, which Jake actually has some really good pitching that I probably would hope that was transferred over to the late.
Yeah.
Cole, Snell, Carrasco, Tyon, Stripling. There's a lot on the early slate.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I wish I could I wish this slate was just jammed together as one. But obviously, on Wednesday, you got this split slate and weird start times. So we'll try to go through and talk about it intelligently and hopefully let you know which games are on the slate and which aren't on DK. I don't know what FanDuel is doing. I never know what they're doing with their slate. So, like, I haven't even looked over there. They probably have a 3-game afternoon only with the
Yeah.
yeah. Who knows what they do.
As long as FanDuel can pay you out before the next slate starts so you can get your money in on that, they're happy.
Exactly.
Let's see. They have the 7 o'clock main slate. They have an all day and then the early only, which consists of 4 games. They did it right.
Oh,
Wow,
okay.
look at that.
Nice.
They did it right. So that'll make it easier. We won't have to segregate 3 or 4 games just to one site because full disclosure, I'm not big on FanDuel anyway. So all right. What do you say we get started? You want to start with the main slate? You say that's what you normally do.
Yeah, we can go main slate first.
All right. Well, let me start with this. By the way, how'd you do last night?
Good. I think I pretty much broke even and then got a Millie Maker ticket. So there was a bunch of
All right.
overlay in one of the. What's that?
I said, all right.
Yeah, yeah. So good night for an MME guy. Breaking even. It's always nice to have those, and got a ticket out of it. So what about you?
Yeah. So I play hockey on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. We didn't play in the summer. We just started back yesterday. And when I play hockey, I only throw a couple lineups in. I ended up, I think I made like plus 5% or something,
Nice.
which is not bad. I had a lot of Brad Keller and a lot of Fultonevich, but I also went out on a limb and said I'm going to stack the Padres because everyone was high on a 70 pitch count Marco Gonzalez. So I had Padres and Royals were my 2 biggest teams. Royals came through. Not a bad night, but nothing to write home about either. So you win some, you lose some. Yesterday, slight win. We move on and just keep piling it up for football so I can throw it away in week 2. All right. Baltimore and Oakland. We'll go game by game here. Andrew Kashner and Liam Kendricks. I'm sorry. Lance Kendricks is a tight end. Liam Kendricks, he's obviously opening a bullpen game. Everyone kind of employing the Tampa Bay Kevin Cash strategy late in the season with these bullpen games. What are you looking at here? Obviously not targeting pitching.
Yeah, not targeting pitching, and then hitting on the Baltimore side. I think I'm fully off of that just because Oakland's bullpen is so solid. I mean, I don't really want to target guys, especially when they can just throw in another pitcher fresh every couple innings or so. I don't even know how long Liam Hendricks is going to go, but I don't think it's long enough for him to matter as far as DFS. And then against Kashner, I always like stacking up against him. I think people overstack against Kashner quite a bit, kind of like James Shields earlier in the season, but they just have such a bad bullpen behind them, and it didn't work out yesterday with Alex Cobb. But I'm going right back to Oakland with guys like Chris Davis and Matt Olson and Piscotty, Jed Lowry, Chapman. I love for under 5K. Where are you at on this game?
Yeah, So for me, Alex Cobb has actually been getting better as the season goes on. Andrew Cashner's been getting worse. This guy was striking out 25% of left-handed hitters earlier in the year, and now you're looking at the numbers. They've come down a lot. I mean, his swinging strike rate's down to 8% against lefties. His strikeout rate is down to 17%. I mean, it's fallen very far. He's striking righties out at 12%. And now you look at his home run rates, both of them are high. I mean, 1.6 against lefties, almost 1.25 against righties. I just have no faith in Andrew Cashner to pitch a good game at Camden Yards. I do like Oakland here. Obviously, whenever Chris Davis is facing a weak right-hander, I'm on board with that. Pulling up the weather now, too, just to see what we've got here. So like 85% humidity, temperatures around 80 degrees. It should be, outside of a chance of thunderstorms, it looks like pretty favorable hitter conditions at Camden Yards. So, yeah, I have no problem with Oakland here. And, you know, everyone likes them against lefties because they have a lot of right-handed bats. But when you look throughout the lineup, Davis, Piscotty, Laureano, a lot of the Chapman is another one. These guys all hit righties really well, too.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think people realize guys like you mentioned, like Piscotty and Chapman. I mean, everyone knows about Chris Davis, but Semien too, these guys can all hit them pretty well. You just look at like WRC plus, they're all around 100 or well above it in Chapman's case and Piscotty's case. So, yeah, I'm right there with you on Oakland. They're one of my favorite stacks on the night.
Yeah, they're in a solid spot. You know, I'm looking at Cashner's game log. His fly ball rate over the past several starts is up there. I mean, you're talking about 50+% fly balls and no soft contact. It's only a matter of time before he just gets rocked. Like, I really think that he you know, you look at his last few starts: 3 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs. He hasn't been good, but he hasn't been terrible. I said the same about Ryan Borucki yesterday, who, you know, comes out and ends up pitching a respectable game. Like, the doors are going to fall off soon when it comes to Andrew Cashner, and I'm with you. I think it's a good spot to target him today. Do you have the run totals pulled up? I'm going to try and pull them up right now.
There's not a total out for this game. I think there was, because last night I did the overnight podcast, and it was looking like it was going to be Mengden or Chris Bassett going for Oakland, and now it's Hendricks. So I think they probably just waited on it to get confirmation on the starting pitcher.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, there's 2 games that we still don't have it on. It looks like Milwaukee and Chicago, which makes sense because you don't get the Wrigley lines until like 11 o'clock Eastern time. Okay, yeah, and then this one. Do we move on?
Yeah, unless you had anything else.
I mean, I think just based on the fact that you have Liam Hendricks, and then we don't necessarily... Do we have a good idea of who's going to be coming in after him is the question.
I can look that up in the... kind of take a stab at seeing who's coming in. They are in... All right, here we go. So just going on like the FanGraphs team usage... or the pitcher usage on Oakland's page. Let's see. FanGraphs is not. Okay, there we go. So it looks like, I think it's going to be Bassett, actually.
Okay.
He hasn't pitched in 5 days, and he pitched 3 innings. They've kind of been using him in short stints. So maybe that's why FanGraphs had Bassett listed yesterday. They're just going to open with Hendricks and then go do the same thing that the Rays do with Beeks and Chirinos and all those guys, Yarbrough. So I think
that would make sense. Yeah. Bassett's not terrible either. He's not a good fantasy arm, but he's not terrible. So, yeah, being that this is a bad Baltimore team, I don't see myself going to Bassett here, but I also don't see myself really on Baltimore bats either. It doesn't seem necessary.
Yeah, exactly. Do you like targeting just in general these bullpen games? Because I really don't.
I hate it.
Yeah.
No, I hate it. I mean, there's no clarity on anything, and you know, especially when you're talking about Tampa, it's like, all right, Ryan Yarbrough's supposed to come in. but he's not guaranteed to come in. Yanni Chirinos is supposed to come in. Jalen Beeks. But you're still guessing because it's happened where you're supposed to get one of these guys, and you're like, all right, we get 5-6 innings out of him. And when you do, like with Yarbrough, you're in great shape. But it's no guarantee that they're going to be the guy.
Right. That I completely agree. And I don't like targeting hitters against them all that much, especially Tampa, because they've kind of got it figured out. And just even if it's a semi-respectable bullpen, and Oakland's been really good, there's just no need, I don't think, to be going out of your way to at least stack against them. I mean, one-offs, I guess, are always in play, but you just don't know who the pitcher is going to face. There's already enough, or the hitter's going to face, there's already enough variance in baseball where you're just adding more to it if you're stacking against a bullpen game.
Yeah, no, the only way I would consider it or be high on it is if we know that the only arms, the only fresh arms in the bullpen are garbage. Mm-hmm. But even so, you have lefties, right? You really don't know what you're going to get. So, I really prefer just to stay away from them when possible, unless we know that a specific guy is supposed to go 5 innings. Then it's kind of like a starter. But all right, Philly and Washington, Aaron Nola, Steven Strasburg. I'm a Phillies fan, but I shouldn't be. They're just a joke. They're an abomination to baseball. They blew another game yesterday, up 3 runs, going into the 9th. Like, this team has fallen so far out of the division lead in 1 month that I shouldn't even watch them. However, Aaron Nola every 5 days goes out there and puts up a gem or at least a really solid start. You're not going to get Aaron Nola at a discount against a tough Washington team, but he is really, really good. And then, of course, you have Steven Strasburg on the other side, who since returning from that injury, from the disabled list, has been okay, but he hasn't been great. I guess the thing is, now that he's fully stretched out through 111 pitches last time and is $9,500, are you willing to give him a look against this struggling Philadelphia offense?
I don't think so. I just don't think I'm there with Strasburg yet. I actually prefer a guy I think we'll talk about probably in the next game or a couple games coming up. David Price. I'll just say it. So that's kind of where I want to go, and we don't have ownership out, so it's tough to talk about this because if Strasburg is going to come in under 10% or something, and I don't think he will, but if we were projecting that type of thing, then yeah, I would be more likely to give him a look. I'm still worried about his velocity being down, like a couple miles an hour from mid-season. I know you and Adam and you and Josh have talked about that, and it dropped another half mile in his last start, down to 93.5 on average against the Cubs.
Yeah.
And he's survived, and the swinging strike stuff is fine, and he's getting some chases and stuff, but I just don't want to play a pitcher that I don't think is 100% right now.
I don't blame you. When he's faced, this will be, I think, his 3rd time facing Philly since being activated. Yeah. So it'll be his 5th start and 3rd time facing Philly, which, just in itself is strange. But I remember tweeting this out upon his 2nd start against Philly, that in the 1st inning, his four-seamer was sitting at like 93, 92 miles per hour, and that's concerning. Like that, as you pointed out, that's concerning. Just look at it per game. Prior to hitting the DL, he was sitting 97, then 96, high 95, 95, 95, 95, 96. And then he returns. He's at 93, 94, 94, 93. You lose 2 ticks off your fastball when you're a mid to high 90s thrower, and that's a big issue. So I think you're right. This is concerning, and it's unfortunate because I would love to play Strasburg at a discount. I think 9,500, if he's 100%, is really, really a favorable spot. The problem is it doesn't seem like he is at all.
Yeah, and I mean, the Phillies do have power. You've got Rhys Hoskins and Carlos Santana, Cabrera. This is one of the best hitting environments on the night. It's almost 80 degrees and super humid in Philadelphia. I mean, you're over there, so you could ownership's out. So you could comment on that. I'm sure it feels like good hitting weather, though, with 90% humidity.
Yep.
Strasburg does struggle in the heat. I think it's something with his grip. Hasn't he come out and said that it's...
Yeah, the Strasburg sweat narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. He sweats too much and he can't grip the ball right. Yeah, that's just another wrench into the works. So I'm with you.
Yeah, 30. So we've got him over 30%. That's not something I'm interested in, especially as the highest owned pitcher. And he may come down as the day goes on, but I'm already seeing a pivot that I really like in price for less ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, I think at this rate, Strasburg is a little bit too risky. And it's kind of not even worth saying, oh, yeah, well, you can run him out there in tournaments because he's not going to be – I don't think he's going to be that low owned. So that, if you told me, everyone's worried about Strasburg, this happened with Berrios earlier in the year where his velocity dropped in 2 straight starts. And then I found an article in The Athletic that said that the pitching coaches, which is the dumbest thing ever, told him not to use, his full energy. Don't go 100%, which is just dumb. Take something off of it. I think that's so dumb. And then he goes out and he gets rocked in 2 straight starts. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, if that's the case, there's nothing wrong with him. So I'm going to run him out there. And his velocity was back up and he was fine. But with Strasburg, I haven't seen anything to suggest that this is intentional, and I don't know why it would be. Most guys don't intentionally take something off of their fastball unless it's, all right, I'm not going to throw 99, I'll throw 97 just to preserve my arm. That concerns me.
Yeah. So, I think that shoulder isn't fully healed. So I remember that Berrios. I was on the fade Berrios train then, and he was super low owned, and he went out and had a really nice start, and I paid for it. So it's not foolproof. Sometimes the velocity drops. You go from Coors to Oakland, your velocity is going to change a little bit, but this has been so steady that there's got to be something to it. Other than I don't think the Nats would say don't put your full effort in like the Twins told Berrios. I didn't even know that. That sounds ridiculous.
Oh, it's so dumb. It's true, though. It was in The Athletic.
Telling a guy like that, who's like just a fiery, like emotional pitcher to let up, I don't get that at all. But I guess that's why the Twins are so bad year after year.
Yep. Yeah, and that's why no one has realized in the pitching as pitching staff, no one has told Kyle Gibson to stop throwing his 2-seam fastball in 2 strike counts. Yeah. So maybe he can go to a good team where they can help him out a little bit. That'd be nice.
Right. If he goes to Houston, he's probably a Cy Young winner.
100. Yeah, look at Garrett Cole and Charlie Portman. It's amazing what they do to pitchers over there. They're like, it's just robotic. It's incredible. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, honestly, when it comes to Aaron Nola, I'm always willing to consider the guy in tournaments. I just think I think he goes out here, and I think you see another really solid game from him. You are seeing a little bit of home run regression. That's all I think it is. I mean, I don't expect a guy to give up 2-3 home runs a game. Like, that's not him. It happened 2 last game, 3 the game before, even though he had 19 strikeouts over 12 and 2/3 innings. But I think it's just regression. He had allowed no home runs all season long. I think this is just variance kicking him in the ass, and he still managed to only give up solo shots. He's not giving up home runs with runners on base. And I think one thing that you can take away from this positively, you're talking about a guy that's allowed 5 home runs over his last 2 starts and still went 12 and 2/3 innings, still struck out 19 batters, still averaged around 24 fantasy points, and that's with the home run problems. It just goes to show you how good he is and what type of floor he gives you.
Yeah, I love Nola. And I mean, I like stacking the Nats as much as anyone, but I don't think I'll be doing that here. Nola at home, all the Phillies pitchers at home, I know you and Adam have talked about this extensively, just so much better at home. That park is really good for strikeouts, and the Phillies pitchers know how to take advantage of that. So yeah, a guy as talented as Nola, paying 11.2, I think that's probably a little bit underpriced. I don't think it's going to be too tough to get to him on this slate. So yeah, I'm right there with you. Guy's just crazy talented, and even if he gives up a couple solo homers, I think he can make that up with the strikeouts.
Yeah, I agree. He has a 30% K rate at home, 23% on the road. That's a huge difference, just a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I like him here as well. I don't see myself targeting any hitters in this game. You know, even though Strasburg hasn't looked like himself, I'm not really sure there's much of an edge to stacking against him because it's not like he's just been getting rocked. What about you?
I mean, I will take some hitters from this game being an MME guy. I'll take Carlos Santana and Rhys Hoskins if I'm running 5-2-1s. I like that duo. But I don't really want to get down into this lineup with like Kingery and Nick Williams and Herrera that much. But the one good thing is that if they do get to Strasburg early, that Nats bullpen has been pretty bad. So the stack could explode, and it is some of the best hitting weather we have all day.
Yep, that's a good point. Bad bullpen. Definitely have perfect temperatures, or at least humidity there. It's been really humid here lately. Yeah. So that should help for sure. And obviously you can apply that same logic towards Nola, but I'm not really too worried about that. How about Toronto and Boston? David Price and Anibal Sanchez. Did you say moments ago that David Price is the guy you like as a pivot?
Yeah, Price has been just super impressive over his last, handful of starts. But the one against Houston last time out really stuck out. He had 10 strikeouts in 6 innings. Like, that's really tough to do against a righty-heavy Houston lineup. He had that one hiccup against the Marlins, but then you look at just the results. He's going 6 innings, 10 strikeouts, 7 innings, 8 strikeouts, 8 innings, 7 strikeouts. Like, those are like SP1 performances. He doesn't get a ton of swinging strikes or anything, but I just think as a pivot to Strasburg, who we're both worried about a little bit, people will see all these righties and they won't want to play Price, but I have no issue playing Price against righty-heavy teams. I don't know about you.
No, not at all. Actually, when you look at David Price on the season, he has not really – you haven't seen any significant struggles against opposite-handed hitters. Like, righties have not done much to scare me when it comes to David Price. Actually, he's holding them to a sub-300 weighted on base average, which is pretty good. Only 1.08 home runs per 9. His strikeout rate is higher against righties. It's up around 26%. I mean, you could argue that David Price has a higher upside matchup against the lineup full of righties. There's, outside of a lower ground ball rate, there's really nothing that concerns you that much. His swinging strike rate is 10.8% against righties, 10.7% against lefties. No, he has displayed no extreme splits this year. He's actually been a higher upside pitcher when facing more righties. No, it doesn't bother me at all. I think, the only thing that comes into play is this Blue Jays team. This Blue Jays team is a decent. They have a decent offense. They're not particularly scary, but they're not going to roll over either. They have one of the lowest K rates on their active roster against lefties, but then their weighted on base average collectively is like 21st in the league. And then they have an ISO that I think ranks third. Yeah, third against lefties. So I think this could be a dangerous matchup for Price, but also a very high upside matchup as well, just because of how he's performed against righties. But yeah, I like him as a pivot. I think David Price will. We're getting him at what, 20% right now in terms of projected ownership. That seems a little bit high in my opinion, just based on the pitchers that are priced around him.
I agree. I think that'll drop, and I think in lower stakes you'll see him closer to 10% than 20. So if you're MMEing like the mini-max, I don't think he's going to be 20% in that. And Toronto has been striking out quite a bit against lefties. It's a pretty short sample, but over the last month, 23.5% and just an 82 WRC plus, a 118 ISO against lefties in that span. So for a team that has all these righties and a decent amount of power, they just have not been hitting them for power at all.
Yeah, they've definitely they've cooled off quite a bit lately. I guess that happens when Kendrys Morales stops hitting a home run per game.
Every single game.
Yeah, ridiculous. No, David Price Also, he's a pretty reliable pitcher. Another thing too is it's at Fenway, but he has not struggled at Fenway. He's actually fared a little bit better there this year. So that's another feather in the cap if you're looking for positives here. I think that David Price at Fenway, it's not a big issue. On the other side, you have Aaron Sanchez, who, for all intents and purposes, has been no surprise. Boston 5.7 total is the highest on the slate right now, and as it should be. By the way, Toronto is at 3.4. We're still missing 2 games, but Washington's at 3.3 against Nola. That's the lowest on the slate. Then Toronto at 3.4. So second lowest on the slate right now is worth noting. But look, Aaron Sanchez, you're talking about a guy who literally has a negative K minus BB rate against lefties, Jake.
That's not good. Yeah, and I know people have been on Sanchez lately. I mean, he had good results against Tampa, but I'm not seeing anything overly impressive in that start. He gave up 2 homers. And I just, as much as possible, I try to avoid any pitcher really going into Fenway, but especially righties, they've just clubbed them all year from March even, end of March, since the beginning of the season. And I just want no part of Sanchez even at this $4,600 price tag. I think this is a spot where he could get completely crushed.
Yeah, me too, especially against a team that is very patient at the plate, because that's not going to help him out at all. The Red Sox had the lowest strikeout rate in the league against righties, but they walk at one of the highest clips as well, or at least top half of the league. The thing about Sanchez, look at his last start. All right, so he had 8 strikeouts, but he had a 20% outside swing rate. He wasn't getting anybody to chase. He wasn't. There was nothing. He had a 93% zone contact rating. There wasn't. His first pitch strike rate was 46%. There's really nothing that stands out as this being a great performance from him. And if I were to guess, if I went to Baseball Savant and looked up his called strikes from that game, he probably just had a ton of called strikes. Which, look, he's good at getting called strikes. He's good at getting ground balls, but that would be my guess. He's just not a guy that's going to magically change the way he pitches and start getting a lot of swinging strikes. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, agreed. So Boston's one of my favorite stacks on the night. You can steal on Sanchez a little bit. He's allowed 8 stolen bases this year, 11 attempts, 8 successful stolen bases. So guys like Betts and Benintendi, I think, will be running here if they get on. I just think super, super tough spot for Sanchez. I'm going 1 through 6, especially for the Red Sox. I love them tonight. 5.7 run total, I think, is the highest on the night. Do we have a Coors game?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's highest on the night.
No, it's the highest. Yep, it's the highest, right in front of Oakland, facing Andrew Kashner. So we already talked about that one. By the way, for those of you just tuning in, I'm filling in for our boy Josh Engelman today. He's got things to deal with.
Yeah,
like hurricanes.
Yeah, so that's why the show is a little different today, but we'll still do crunches at the end. I'll share my screen. I'll pull up Fantasy Cruncher, which you guys can get for free with promo code Strategy, or it's Strategy Show is the promo code. You got a couple more days of that, and then it'll be available as an add-on with your Osmo.com premium membership.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting that we got the exclusive with Fantasy Cruncher, because you're just not gonna find a better tool in terms of MME than Cruncher. They've done it all right. They really have. I don't MME for baseball, but for football I do each week. For basketball I do, and have always used Cruncher for it. And just the fact that they continue to add on their options and the tools, they continue to give you more ability to tweak things, and that just makes it that much better.
Yep.
Do you MME for football?
I didn't until this year, so week 1. So it's interesting. I'm not great into football analysis, but like listening to you guys, I felt like I had a good grasp of things. So yeah, I don't know. I expect it to be a profitable year. Yeah, yeah.
Now sometimes honestly, just sometimes trying to get leverage on a play doesn't work, But
Yeah.
But like with Kamara, oh God, whatever. We'll get into more of that later on in the week. I'm sure you and I will be doing some more shows together.
Yeah, for sure.
Until Josh gets settled. But yeah, I'm with you. I think Boston against Aaron Sanchez, like we said, highest expected run total on the slate. Now, to be fair, Boston's almost always going to have the highest run total when they're facing a mediocre pitcher. But this is a good spot for them to exploit it. Even though Sanchez hasn't allowed a lot of power, actually, he has allowed 10 home runs in 18 starts. 4 of those home runs have come in 3 starts against Boston. So they've gotten to him this season. I'm not a big BVP guy at all, but it's just to show you that Boston's a good team and they'll beat up on anybody. How about Milwaukee and Chicago, Jake? Kyle Hendricks and Chase Anderson, 2 guys that aren't the worst real-life pitchers, but from a fantasy standpoint, generally don't give you a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I think just kind of both guys annoying enough that I don't really want to stack against either of them. Cubs bullpen has been struggling a little bit, but seeing a 3.8 total for the Brewers is kind of shocking here. A lot of respect for Hendricks, despite the Cubs bullpen struggling. And a 4.8 run total for the Cubs. That's weird against such a strong Milwaukee bullpen. So just kind of a funky line, I think. But not really any interest in either pitcher. I would probably go with Hendricks if I had to choose one of these guys. But just very limited upside on both sides. Neither guy is going to light the world on fire with strikeouts and tough matchups on both sides. Just tons of power on both the Brewers and the Cubs. So this one's kind of a write-off for me, besides maybe some one-offs on each side.
Yeah, I'm not huge on it either. There's no wind at Wrigley either, for what that's worth. 5 miles per hour blowing in from right field to between first base and home plate and home. But yeah, look, Anderson, his biggest issue has been home runs to righties at home this year. He's actually done a really good job of limiting damage outside of Miller Park, which makes sense. He's actually been very efficient outside of Miller, and I don't know. I don't really see the need to pick on him here. Like against lefties, he's allowing 0.68 home runs per 9 outside of home. He still gives up power to righties. And if I'm targeting Chase Anderson, it's going to be with a Baez or with a Bryant or one of the power righties on this team, because that's where he struggles most. But I think they'd more just be tertiary plays. Nobody that I'm really actively seeking out here, or stacks. I don't think either team has a ton of upside from a stack standpoint. And also, when you look at bullpens, I mean, you're talking about Milwaukee. This is not a bullpen that you want to get into and feel confident against. And then Chicago's been decent enough as well from an xFIP standpoint. The Brewers have the 3rd lowest xFIP on the season. The Cubs have not been particularly good, but at the same time, you're going to have to get through Hendricks first, and Hendricks just goes out there and gives you like 6, 7, 1, 2-run innings and 4 strikeouts each game. So I don't expect to see much bullpen from Chicago anyway.
Yeah, same page there. You mentioned Chris Bryant. He's 4,400 against Chase Anderson, who I don't know how. I haven't looked into Anderson's splits this year, but in the past, I know he's been known as a reverse splits pitcher. I think just eyeballing xFIP, 472 against against lefties, and then where's he at? 484 against righties. So looks more splits neutral this year at least.
Look at his home runs per 9 though. That's where it jumps off the page.
Oh, it's heavy on righties.
Yeah, very more than 2 home runs per 9 against righties.
Okay, yeah. I mean, he's someone who I like to target if he just didn't have such a good bullpen behind him. Like, I'm pretty sure Hader is somewhat rested too. I don't know if he went in last night.
Yeah, all I know is last time he pitched, he struck out all 6 batters he faced, I think, which is just
That's absurd.
yeah, he had 17 fantasy points. Actually, he had 17 fantasy points in 2 innings, and then the game before that, he had 18 fantasy points in 2 innings. That's so
Jeez.
ridiculous.
That's gonna be fun if the Brewers get into the playoffs, playing him at low ownership.
Absolutely, and he could legitimately give you like. It's really insane. It makes no sense. If DraftKings was smart, they wouldn't put him at minimum salary in the playoffs.
Yeah, I bet they'll price him up a little bit. So he pitched 2 days ago, 2 innings, and then 3 days before that pitched 2 innings. So maybe available for an inning today, but I bet they probably don't even use him. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you could get to a Cubs stack. I just don't think I'll be there. So.
Yeah, I agree that the 4.8 implied run total is higher than I expected. I thought it'd be around like 4.2, maybe 4.3. 4.8's up there.
Yeah.
So maybe there's something that we're not seeing, but on the surface, it's just not great. And if you look at the Cubs' projected lineup in this spot, you're talking about probably. Let's see here. You're talking about 1, 2, 3 righties. Like I don't think there'll be any more than 4 righties, but you expect Murphy, Zobrist, Rizzo, Schwarber, and Happ to be in the lineup.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of righties here.
No, I don't think so either. I was just shocked to see that total near 5 for the Cubs. So
yeah,
definitely deserves a little bit more digging, I think, as the day goes on.
Yeah, and keep an eye on to see if it comes down as well, because I wouldn't be surprised if it closes like 4.4, 4.5. It just seems outrageously high, but
yeah,
I digress. How about the Yankees and Minnesota? This is one, I was talking to Adam Shar, who I do the deeper dive with earlier today, and he mentioned that he was writing the deep dive probably. I think he'll have it done early today for Awesemo.com.
Cool.
Which is just, for those of you that are not premium members, very in-depth daily article at each position, breaking it all down. But he had told me that he already wrote 3 paragraphs on Severino and came to the conclusion of, I don't know, at the end. And it's funny because it really feels that way about Severino right now. You know that he's got amazing stuff. You know that he can be one of the most elite pitchers. You know that he's sitting on the fastest 4-seamer in baseball among starting pitchers. But then at the end, you kind of just don't know with him right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got to last night with just like a quick look through him. The swinging strike numbers and the chase numbers are there for him over the last 5 or so starts. I know he's had issues with run prevention, but that's something that I can overlook going up against the Twins team with a 3.5 run total. He's got a really good bullpen behind him as well. He shouldn't be giving up this many runs over his last 11 or 12 starts. He should be pitching like an ace, I think. I don't know about you, but I don't think he's hurt or anything. His velocity seems fine for the most part. And he's 9,400. It just seems like such a trap. That's how I was feeling last night. Just trappy price.
Yep.
I don't know. Is he broken? Yeah, he's broken, Jason Sullivan says. I mean, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's something going on with him in his personal life. It could be anything, but at 9,400, I think I'm willing to find out, and I will have a bunch of Severino, especially because I was looking forward to hearing you and Adam talk about it, but kind of knowing now where Adam's at, and he doesn't know, I guess I'm willing to take a chance on the unknown for a guy this talented.
Yeah, it's tough. So Larry Rothschild, I mentioned this a couple times now, the pitching coach for the Yankees, said that over all the years that he's been working with pitchers, he's seen young pitchers who the year before pitched deep into the year, into the playoffs, and then pitch a lot of innings the next year. He sees them go through like a 10 or 12 game stretch where they really struggle. And that's what he thinks is going on with Severino. Well, that's as anecdotal as you could possibly get. And I think they're probably just reaching for answers right now. But it is worth noting that Severino has been better over his last, last month than the month or two before that, because it was really bad prior to that. I mean, you're talking about a guy that could not get outs, was allowing a lot of home runs. But now you look, his swinging strike rate over his last 6 starts, 17, 13, 14, 9.5, 16, 14. I mean, it's up there. He's getting swings on pitches outside of the zone. The one thing that jumped out to me, though, his outside contact has skyrocketed recently, and he's not missing as many bats on the slider, on pitches outside of the zone. I really wish I knew what was going on with him, but it's tough, and it's not like he's lost velocity either.
Yeah, I agree. Is this just bad variance? Like, is he just due for some run prevention regression here? Like, because he is getting the strikeouts. He's getting the swings and misses for the most part. He's just having trouble going deep into games because he can't. I don't know. Is he getting BABIP to death? It's so weird. I don't understand it.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, hell, if you're getting BABIP to death on that many starts, like, then you've got to be, his strand rate too. His strand rate, his left on base rate was down, but now, recently it's really not been that bad. It's tough to say. By the way, his average fastball velocity was the lowest of the season last start. I don't know. It's not a huge decrease in velocity, but it was down. I still feel like I have to go to some Severino here just because he's way too skilled and has way too much upside, even with these struggles, to be priced where he is.
Yeah, just too cheap. If he was 11K here, I think it would make sense as just fully fading him. Or I would at least consider that, but this cheap against a bad team in the Twins, I'm expecting him to get a bunch of strikeouts here. So if he allows runs, that's fine. I mean, if he allows a couple runs here for 9,400, you can live with that. So just too much strikeout upside.
There is. It's just, God, it worries me. But really, you kind of just have to bite the bullet at 30 or at 9,400. I think the biggest question, though, is, like, all right, for example, if Luis Severino, and right now we have him to be, pretty popular, right? I think his projected ownership's around, like, 27. If Luis Severino is going to be very popular, then I'll just be more inclined to go somewhere else, because it's not like he's popular because he's been good. He's going to be popular because he's cheap. But if everyone feels the same way, then, I honestly will consider going to a much lower owned pitcher that has maybe not the same upside, but has a higher floor and enough upside to where if Severino continues to struggle, you're not going to need a massive upside game. You're just going to not want to have him in your lineups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm on the same page with you. So I don't know. I mean, you like Yankees bats here against Odorizzi? Yeah,
I do. Yeah. I do. What do you think about? I mean, the weird thing about Odorizzi is for his whole career he's been a reverse splits pitcher, but he started. His pitch mix is a little bit different this year, and now you're seeing him struggle a lot more with power against lefties, and that could hurt him a lot tonight.
Yeah. So I kind of want to play both sides of this Odorizzi game. Odorizzi versus Yankee matchup, because I think that there's a bunch of righties in this lineup, and people think of Odorizzi still as the reverse splits guy, and he hasn't been that this year, and there's reasons behind it. His pitch mix. So at 5,500 fully stretched out against a righty heavy lineup, I think he makes sense to take some shots in tournaments. Now if he's if he's walking the righties like Stanton and Andujar and Sanchez, or giving up hits to them, he's going to have a really tough time against Hicks and Gregorius. I mean, Stanton's tough either side, but it's not a super easy matchup for Odorizzi by any means, but I think he if he does survive here, you may need him in your lineup for 5,500 if he can get 18 to 20 points.
I'm with you 100%. Honestly, I think one of the most profitable ventures this year in baseball has been play pitchers against the Yankees. Like, Ronaldo Lopez, when everyone's stacking, play Ronaldo Lopez. Is he great? No, but the Yankees are one of those teams that, like, they're not going to go out there and rack up 10 runs each time. And unlike Boston, they do have strikeouts in that lineup. So they're a very good team to hedge against because everyone loves stacking them. And, like with Odorizzi, he throws the slider 23% of the time, excuse me, to righties. If that pitch is working and he's getting a decent amount of whiffs per swing on it this season, nothing spectacular. 33% is pretty okay though. If that pitch is working, then he's going to have a decent shot of racking up strikeouts against Giancarlo Stanton, against Gary Sanchez, guys that struggle hitting pitches outside of the zone that sweep across the plate. So Odorizzi actually does have the arsenal to get guys like this out, like power hitters like Sanchez and Stanton out. Even his splitter usage against righties should come in handy. It's just will he have it or will he not have it? And if he does, I think at 5,500, that could be a steal. We saw Kyle Gibson the other day only allow 1 run across 5 2/3. He just got his pitch count up there, but that's not to say that Odorizzi can't do it. And his swinging strike rate this year, like, you are seeing some improvements. It's at 13% against righties. There's upside in this spot. I agree.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm going to be on both sides, but some Yankee stacks, and I'll be over the field on Odorizzi for sure. Just $5,500 pitcher that's fully stretched out that we've seen already has upside. Yeah, it's just, I think it's a good spot to play both sides of it.
Yeah, me too. Right now, 5.1 implied run total for the Yankees, which I like. I don't mind if it climbs higher, just because that's gonna, nobody's gonna be really targeting Odorizzi. You would really think that his ownership easily comes in below 10%.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe to say.
But I would almost say, and this is risky, that I'll be more inclined to play Odorizzi than Yankees bats. Like, obviously you're going to have both, right? But I think this could be a tricky, tough spot for the Yankees if Odorizzi has the slider and the splitter working. That's kind of their kryptonite, right? A lot of these guys just mash fastballs and work well against guys that don't have good breaking stuff. But Odorizzi at least has decent breaking stuff, which could get them. Yep.
Yeah. Same page here.
All right. Anything else from this one? I mean, I think we've covered it pretty much in depth. I'm not sure that I don't think you're going to stack Minnesota, or are you? Are you going to go completely off the rails here and stack them against Severino?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I think one guy that I would consider playing here is Eddie Rosario for 4,500. I just love him against righties. I don't know how he hits really fast fastballs though, so I haven't looked that up. But just a good hitter. I know creates a lot of hard contact against righties, and Severino throws really hard. So if he connects on one, could go a long way.
Yep, absolutely. And Severino's certainly been prone to giving up home runs lately. I'm not going to look it up on the fly, but just in terms of his Fangraphs weighted pitch type rankings or grades against the fastball, Rosario is minus 0.8 this year, so not great, but at the same time he's still a pretty disciplined hitter. So the guy's pretty good. Kansas City and the White Sox. Jake, let me tell you, man, you generally hate targeting the Royals, like playing their bats. But since they've kind of overhauled this lineup, I've been way more inclined to play them. Like, Ryan O'Hearn has been good to me lately. Whit Merrifield has really been solid lately. Adalberto Mondesi has been great lately. And the best thing about them is that these guys, like Whit Merrifield, Mondesi, even Alex Gordon, who swiped another bag yesterday. These guys offer some speed on the base paths. So they may only score 6 runs, but you get 3 stolen bases. As crazy as it sounds, they've been a very good stack lately. I also have a lot of respect for Carlos Rodon, though. So what do you make of this one? Rodon and Eric Skoglund on the mound. Right now, implied run totals are 4.9 for the White Sox and 4.2 for the Royals at Kauffman Stadium.
Yeah, I think you make a good point about the stolen base upside. Rodon really bad at holding runners. So you got Merrifield, Mondesi, and Gordon. That's like the nut 1, 2, 3 against a guy like Rodon. If he's walking guys, it's going to be a really quick start for Rodon, and he's going to give up a bunch of runs. If he's not, though, I think he's got a bunch of strikeout upside. I wrote him up after a quick look at him last night, and so Kansas City against righties has just been insane over the last month. The second highest WRC plus, the highest ISO 229, one of the highest on base percentages. They're striking out around league average, but then you look at what they've done in that same span against lefties, and they've just been polar opposite. So third worst WRC plus, the second highest strikeout percentage, almost 28%, and just a 290 on base percentage. So they've just been polar opposite against righty and lefty. So a guy like Rodon, who we both have respect for, that has shown he can handle either side. Yeah, I'm willing to take a shot on him at 8,600 against this Royals team.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with it either. I wish he had a little bit more strikeout upside, but in a spot like this, it's pretty advantageous for sure. And as you mentioned, this Kansas City team, I mean, they don't really have anyone outside of Merrifield and Perez, I guess, from a power standpoint, that hits lefties well or for average. They have, on the season, their active roster has the 5th highest K rate against lefties. So, yeah, I think those are very salient points. Like, the Royals are not good against lefties. If Rodon, you know, he's one of these lefties that when he doesn't have it, he's going to walk a lot of batters. Like last start, he's going to walk a lot of guys, and then he'll give up a home run or two, and it'll begin to unravel. When he has it, he gets out of jams pretty easy. He's always going to walk a few batters, but he's really bad at holding runners. You mentioned that a minute ago. And the big thing about this is they now have 2 guys, whether it be Wellington Castillo or Kevin Smith, who are dreadfully bad when it comes to the battery of actually throwing runners out. So this could end up as a really, really good high upside spot for the Royals, or it could be a smash spot for Rodon. Much like you were talking about the Yankees bats and Odorizzi, I think this is an ideal spot to target Rodon in lineups and also some Royals bats, because if Rodon is off, you're going to see a lot of upside at the plate and on the base paths for this Royals team.
Yeah, completely agree. I'll be on both sides of this one as well. I just think stolen bases are super underrated when people are looking at stacks. Still, for whatever reason. I mean, I'll take a double steal with Merrifield and Mondesi for 10 points, plus the possibility of getting more run points after they each hit singles or walk. That's like basically a home run. You know?
Right. Yeah. Dude, the Trey Turner home run where you walk, steal 2 bases, and score a run, 14 points.
There you go.
You know, like, it's doable. It happens. And or the Hamilton home run. Sorry, that's what it is.
That was a thing for a few weeks when I first started dabbling into MLB DFS like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. But it seems like people just like, why wouldn't they have power too? It's not like Merrifield crushes lefties. Mondesi can hit, of course. This is like the perfect setup for a stack if Rodon doesn't have his stuff. But if he does, I think it's going to go one way or the other, and you're going to know fairly quickly.
Yeah, I'm with you. And if you're not playing Rodon and you don't want to stack him, I still think Merrifield's a really solid one-off here just because of the power speed upside for sure.
Yep.
The other side of this one, Eric Skoglund, he hasn't pitched. Well, he pitched last week, 2 innings, 27 pitches. prior to that, he hadn't pitched at the major league level since May. You know, he's starting. I'm trying to see if he's. I don't know if this is supposed to be a bullpen game. I mean, he only threw 27 pitches last time out. I'm assuming, maybe you know, I'm assuming he was starting games and is stretched out from the minor leagues.
Yeah, I thought I saw that he was. Let me look that up quick.
I got it right here. Because if that's the case, then you would think that he's probably going to go. All right, so his last start was September 1st. He threw, 55, 57 pitches. Huh.
Okay.
Oh, you know what it was? I think that's what it was. For a second, I thought he was demoted earlier in the year, but he was on the 60-day DL. That's my fault.
Okay. That makes sense.
It's easy to forget about Eric Skoglund.
Yeah, yeah.
But he's also not really somebody that you worry about. Eric Skoglund has had some serious issues with power over the past couple of seasons. Looking back since 2017, he's allowed a lot of power. He doesn't get strikeouts. He gets ground balls at like a very average rate, a lot of hard contact. And this is a White Sox team that is very like boom or bust, hit or miss. But against lefties, they do boast a lot of power, and Abreu's back in the lineup. What do you think about them against Skoglund?
Yeah, I like him against Skoglund. I kind of wish Skoglund was stretched out so he could struggle through an extra inning or so in this White Sox stack.
Bullpen, though.
What's that?
A pretty bad bullpen for Kansas City.
For sure, and that's why you're seeing the run total near 5 for the White Sox, a bad team on the road. So, yeah, give me some Avisel Garcia, Matt Davidson especially. Jose Abreu back in the lineup is a big boost. And then I can't really get to – I don't want to get to guys like Adam Engel and Yohan Moncada against the lefty. But just in a stack, I think it's fine, especially Moncada, if he sees a righty at some point in this game, which I'm sure he will. He's just atrocious against lefties for whatever reason.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. He's been a colossal disappointment. Like, he should be so much better than he's been, but he isn't. I think you're right. Like, Wellington Castillo, at his price, he's cheap, assuming he starts. Abreu's not crazy expensive. One thing I would love to see is I'd love to see Matt Davidson back in the lineup, because that would make this a much more appealing stack with Castillo, Abreu, Davidson, and then, hopefully Tyler Anderson or Tim Anderson leads off in this one. Like that would make it a much more appealing 4 or 5 man stack.
Agreed. Yeah. So this is one I want to check on the lineup. We've seen the White Sox in recent days roll out some garbage, like leaving out Davidson against lefties and such. So it'll depend on the lineup, but right now, if they roll out the nut lineup like you're talking about, then yeah, I'm definitely on the White Sox here. Yeah.
Skoglund, in terms of base runners, has been decent. I don't think he's the easiest guy to run on. Salvador Perez behind the plate, so I'm not really targeting speed here. I think I'm just strictly targeting power in this one.
Agreed.
All right, Arizona and Colorado, Coors Field, but it's not your typical Coors Field game. It's John Gray and Patrick Corbin, 2 guys that, I'll go down with the ship when it comes to John Gray, because I do believe that John Gray's been one of the most unlucky pitchers this season, and when you literally cannot figure out what's wrong with him, like cannot figure it out, it's either something's going on, like, I don't know, his wife cheated on him or something. I'm joking. I don't even know if he's married. But, like something's going on at home, right? And he's just not with it or whatever. But, like, the only thing when you look into John Gray's number, remember when they sent him down?
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
In early July or late June or something. The only thing was he was getting way less ground balls on double play balls this year, like or with runners on, and he was, I forget what the last, but it wasn't anything that would stand out to you. Like, if you were to tell me that this guy who, like, okay, swinging strike rate, he's one of the highest in the league. xFIP, he has one of the lowest xFIP among all qualified pitchers. Like, explain that to me, right? John Gray has the 14th lowest xFIP in the league, but probably like the 12th highest ERA among qualified pitchers. And then his swinging strike rate, where is it? I'm pulling it up right now. His swinging strike rate is 11th in the entire. It's higher than Luis Severino, Aaron Nola, like Charlie Morton. It's higher than all of those guys. But he's just not producing the same results.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing that I see with him is just the swinging strikes have gone down his last 3 starts.
Yeah, they've been scary low. And
I don't see why that would be the case. I mean, his velocity looks okay. His movement looks fine. His chase rate his last couple starts is pretty terrible. The one against the Dodgers, I mean, I'll kind of give him a pass for that. Facing the Dodgers and Coors is really tough. That lineup
didn't he have only one strikeout against the Padres and the Angels or something?
Yeah.
Exactly. That's scary.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with him. I have no idea. And this looks like another trap at 69. He's not a 7K pitcher on DK. He should be higher than this. And I wonder if people just say, okay, I'm betting on the talent, and he ends up being like the highest owned pitcher when we get to lock. I think there's a good chance that happens. I like the Diamondbacks here just because I don't know with Gray, and I expected him to be one of the highest owned pitchers. So if it's looking that way, I'll have over the field on the Diamondbacks. It's just really tough. If you're not right and you're going up against Peralta, Goldschmidt, Souza, Escobar, Pollock, who's starting to hit a little bit, it's just a really tough matchup, and throw in the uncertainty with Gray, and it turns out to be a pretty nice stack here for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, I just can't play Gray right now, and I've had no problem playing Coors pitchers or Colorado pitchers at Coors this year, but it's tough to do. Like, his slider, which usually gets a ton of whiffs, is getting none over the past couple of games. The curveball is getting none. Like, he literally had no swinging strikes on the curveball over his last 2 starts.
Wow.
Nothing on the fastball. I just want to check pitch movement real quick, unless you already did, and I can.
So I checked it on FanGraphs. I know there's probably better ways to check it.
I mean, Brooks baseball is decent. It's
yeah.
Oh, the curveball. So, okay, curveball. He's lost a little bit on that, but nothing that stands. Nothing that would say like, oh man, this is a red flag. You know, be worried. He's straight. He's got. I don't know. He should be really, really good. Is all.
Yeah, I agree. It's just it's hard to talk about because you just don't know. You just have no idea why all of a sudden he's not getting swings and misses. It doesn't really make sense.
How do you strike out one Padre at Petco Park?
I have no idea. That is so shocking. And he went 6 innings. I mean, it's not like he didn't have a chance to do it. So
no, it's scary.
It's just weird.
And I was thinking, all right, well, maybe this is what he's doing. Maybe he's like throwing. He doesn't even have he doesn't even throw a 2-seamer. So it's not like he's throwing more 2-seamers to get more ground balls to get deeper into games. He doesn't even. He's basically just strictly 4-seam slider curveball, and nothing's really changed. So I guess we'll just move on.
Yeah.
There's not much else. He is cheap here, though. I'm not going to lie. At this price, I may dabble. I may put a couple John Gray lineups in just because I think the talent is there. But it's totally a shot in the dark. That's it.
Yeah.
Just based on raw talent.
Agreed.
What do you make of Patrick Corbin here? 10,200 on DraftKings. Rockies' expected run total is
5.
What are we at? 5,
Mm-hmm.
and then Arizona's at 5.1. So low for Coors, but high for a team facing Corbin for sure.
Yeah, and Colorado's been really tough in Coors against lefties, and outside of Coors against lefties. I mean, you've got Arenado, Story, LeMahieu, Desmond.
Yeah,
that's pretty tough.
Dude, Story's been insane against lefties.
Yeah. Guy is crazy. Arenado's a little hurt, so that's probably a boost for Corbin, and his stuff should translate, right? I mean, hard sliders usually translate pretty well in Coors.
Absolutely.
He's also familiar with Coors being in this division. I don't know, has he pitched there yet this year?
We can look it up. I was actually looking to see what the pitch usage was against righties. He throws the slider 37% of the time. You know, he'll mix that curveball in that he started throwing this year, but like, you're right. It's, you know, when you have a sweeping slider like that,
mm-hmm.
that is the type of pitch that will help you at Coors. That's why Herman Marquez has been better, because he's throwing less curveballs at Coors.
Yeah, exactly. And I think organizations are starting to figure that out and telling guys to lay off when they go into Coors, especially the Rockies. I mean, they've just gotten the right type of pitchers. Gray when he's right, Anderson, Marquez has just been a stud. So I think I'm willing to take some chances on Patrick Corbin here in tournaments. Talk about a guy who gets swinging strikes and just racks up strikeouts at will. He's struck out at least 7 in each of his last 9 starts. That is just an absurd run. And I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're going 6-7 innings and getting 7 strikeouts, and people aren't really going to be on him for this start, I think I would take him over Strasburg right now on this.
I would. I'm with you. I mean, like, he has the arsenal to pitch well at Coors. He's got a 55% whiff per swing rate on his slider to right-handed hitters this year. That's a check in the positive box for sure. He throws a 2-seamer, which he can get a lot of ground balls on. That's another plus. Looking at his ground ball rate per balls in play on the slider against righties, on the sinker, it's almost 60%. So those are 2 things alone right there that work in his favor. At Coors, let's see. He pitched 1 start at Coors. It went 4 1/3, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts. So it wasn't anything. I don't know how many pitches he threw, but you know, it wasn't anything great. He didn't exactly get rocked, but we would want more. We would want more, obviously, than that. And last year, he got hammered at Coors at 2 starts, but Corbin's definitely a different pitcher this year than he was last season.
Yeah, I mean, Corbin's ridiculous now that he's just committed to throwing that slider all the time. It's getting one of the highest whiffs per swing rates of any pitch for the entire season. Actually, the guy that we'll talk about next has, I think, he's the closest to him as far as whiffs per swing on the slider. So,
I don't know, man. I think a lot of times will play the Rockies against the lefty at Coors because they're just that good against lefties. But Corbin allows no power to righties. He has the perfect arsenal. I'm not that interested, to be honest with you, in Rocky bats.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it would be Story or Arenado if I knew he was healthy, but we know that Arenado is not 100% right now, so it's tough to play him against an elite pitcher like Corbin.
Right. And Story's price tag actually went up $600 since yesterday, which kind of sucks.
Yeah. Against Corbin,
I guess
57.
Yeah, I guess. Right. I thought Story's price would be down, but I guess because he's facing a lefty. I think for me it would be Arizona bats, just because I don't know what the hell is going on with John Gray right now.
Yeah.
But it's Coors Field, and you can kind of never go wrong there if you were, try. I don't think batters are going to be that popular in this game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, I'm more on the Arizona side, but an unowned Coors is pretty appealing just in a vacuum.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what makes it more appealing. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see. I I guess we'll have to see what it shakes out to be. But right now, if you just look at ownership projections, like Corbin has he has the lowest ownership projection of every pitcher on this slate on DraftKings right now. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
John Gray's at 18%. So that makes me really want to target Patrick Corbin. Really, really want to play Corbin.
I agree.
All right, let's hit the last one. What do you got for me? Texas and the Angels, Felix Pena and Giovanni Gallardo. Mentioned earlier, right now, Angels have the third highest expected run total against Gallardo. It's at 5.2. And then the Rangers, how about this? Against Felix Pena, 3.9, which to me is a little bit I would go over on that because Pena is good against righties, but he's really not been good against lefties, and they can put a bunch of lefties into this Rangers lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I like Pena a lot, but he's someone I think, along with Gray, that will become chalkier as the day goes on. So I wrote up Pena. I just love that slider. So many whiffs on it, but mostly against righties. And you see this lineup that Texas projects, and it is almost all it's 6 lefties, and lefties with power like Chu Odor, Gallo, Mazzara. These guys have big power. So Pena's really gonna have to be on his game to limit the runs here, I think. Pretty low total there for Texas. They're not the same team outside of Arlington. So I will have Pena, but it's going to depend on where ownership projections have him at 6:30 Eastern. So he's someone I'm going to wait on to build teams with.
Yeah, that's fair. His K rate, I think what concerns me is his strikeout rate against lefties is almost 11% lower than it is against righties. It's 28% against righties, 17% against lefties. If this is just like a heavy lefty lineup, I think he can still go out there and limit the damage, but I don't know what Pena's upside is against, say, 6 lefties or so.
Yeah,
that would be my concern, personally.
I agree. It's definitely not a great matchup for him. And even though Beltre doesn't have a ton of power anymore, and Andrews, they still don't strike out a lot. So
right,
it's going to be tough.
Right. How about the Angels here against Gallardo? Ohtani's just been so damn good that anytime he faces a lefty, or a righty, it's kind of like you have to put him in play.
Yeah, Ohtani and Trout, super expensive, but it's hard to find a better duo on the slate than those two against Gallardo, who is not going to fool anyone. He's going to throw strikes. He's not going to miss bats. 5.6% swinging strike rate, 25% chase rate. For Gallardo this year, I mean, every ball is going to be put in play here, seemingly. You get Calhoun for 4K. Anderson Simmons, a guy I like against righties and lefties, 4,400. And then Upton, too cheap, just over 4K there. And then Jose Miguel Fernandez at 3K, guy with power, hit a homer last night. I even like Arcia batting 9th for 3,500. So, yeah, the Angels, one of my favorite stacks as well.
Yeah, I certainly think this is a good spot for them. I have no faith in Gallardo. I don't care if Gallardo's had some good performances this year. He's still had more bad ones. He's not good. He's not. Like, the biggest thing is if you've had some good starts, but you still get no swinging strikes, like the house of cards is going to come down.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a 7% swinging strike rate or lower against lefties and righties this season. Like, you can't sustain not allowing power when every ball is put in play, and especially when you're only getting, like a league average amount of ground balls. I just don't see how you can sustain that, especially when you're Giovanni Gallardo. And I don't really care where the park is. Like, this is a good spot. I like lefties, righties, Ohtani, pretty Cole Calhoun. Gallardo has a 15% K rate against lefties, 12% against righties, and a K- BB rate that's around 2% against each one. It doesn't get much worse than that.
Yeah, I mean, Gallardo, someone we could certainly target against. He can be frustrating at times, creating weak contact if he is on. He's kind of in that Bartolo Colon mold where Sometimes you're giving up just weak grounders or weak fly balls, and it seems like every time he goes out, people want to stack against him. But I'm definitely on the stack against him here. I just think there's too many good hitters in this Angels lineup, and every ball is going to be in play.
All right. So you've got Cruncher pulled up. Go ahead and do your thing, Jake. I'm just along for the ride for this one.
Yeah, so I figured since we're running a little late, since we got started late, we're going to just look at early crunches. So, I don't know. Hopefully everyone's okay with that as a way to talk about kind of the early slate. We got a 4-game early slate on DK. Snell's my favorite guy. I don't know about you, Laffy, but I love Snell in the spot. I think Cole is going to have a ton of ownership. And I haven't actually seen if we have early ownership. Tom, if you're in the chat, you can let us know.
I can pull that up. I can pull it up.
Yeah, so that should be out momentarily if it's not already. So looking at it's not.
Got it right here.
It's not up there.
I got it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got Snell here. He's coming up. I just use Fantasy Cruncher's projections here, so I'm not giving away really anything much. But anyone can do this on Osmo.com if you have the free trial. It's for the next couple days. You still have 2 days left on that, and you can make your own crunches. And you don't even have to play 150. You can just look to see for lineup construction and maybe choose a few of these lineups if you're just single entering or 3 maxing or whatever. So I ran out 5-2-1s right here. See a lot of Blake Snell popping up. I absolutely love Snell here. I just think he's underpriced, and he's overcome really tough matchups, including one against Cleveland a few starts ago in Cleveland, which is a really tough thing to do. So I love Snell. As far as stacks go, Houston is probably the chalkiest. Am I right saying that?
Actually, they were yesterday's early ownership, so
okay.
I don't have the early ownership projections yet.
Okay, yeah, I think just looking at the Houston total here, 5.4 runs, them and the Dodgers is going to be the overwhelming chalk, I would think. Not many people will be going to Cleveland and Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, and St. Louis, just an 8-run total there. So I think it's just a question of what you do with your SP2. And what I was saying on the night shift last night was that if I can fit in Snell and Carrasco as much as possible, I'd love to do that. And you're seeing some right here. You're seeing this here. I can share my screen with you so you're on the same. Am I sharing with you now?
Yep.
All right.
There it is.
Yeah, so you can see, and I mean, you're getting, the problem is when you go with Snell and Carrasco, you're getting like Pirate stacks. So if you can stomach that, if you're getting Pirate stacks and you're getting Cardinal stacks because they're just cheaper, you can't really fit in the Dodgers with Snell and Carrasco. Can't really fit in the Astros, at least the good parts. So it makes it kind of tough. And I think I'm going to prioritize pitching here just because I think it's a pretty good chance you see at least a couple pitchers go for 25, 30 points here with Cole, Carrasco, and Snell on the slate. What do you think about pitching on this slate, Laffy?
Yeah, I don't think it's crazy, though, to look at a like Jameson Taillon either. I mean, Jameson Taillon, along with like the bulk of that rotation for the Pirates, they're very good against righties and they struggle against lefties, whether it be Musgrove or Archer, but particularly Taillon. He's holding the righties to a 261 WOBA this year. Not much power at all, 26% strikeout rate. And, you know, just looking at the lineup that you would expect St. Louis to run out, we don't have it yet. But St. Louis, their projected lineup is probably going to have, I don't know, 6, 7 righties in it. So I don't mind. I'm not as high on Snell as you are. So just because I don't know how much upside, I don't know where his ceiling is here. I love Blake Snell. I have no problem rostering him. But I think in some spots I probably will pay down to like a Jameson Taillon who wants to do. I think probably including the pitcher should see 6 righties outside of Carpenter. If you can if you can navigate around Carpenter and Adams, I'm not too worried about Colton Wong. So, yeah, I think it's a good spot for Jamison Tyon, at least a high upside spot. You know, it's a tough matchup, but also one where his ceiling is up around 30. And then down towards the bottom, it's tough. Like, you know, I think that the problem is, let's say you wanted to punt and you're like, all right, I'm just going to punt Daniel Norris and play him with like a Snell or Carrasco. What bats do you feel like you need to get to go that cheap? Like, I don't think you need to go all the way down to the bottom and even take that risk because there's so many decent pitchers on this slate.
For who now?
I'm saying, let's say you just wanted really low ownership. You wanted to be different than everybody. So you played like a Daniel Norris, who since returning has actually looked very solid in terms of getting swinging strikes, getting strikeouts. But I think if you were to do that, it doesn't really help you because there's so many good pitchers on this slate that you don't need to pay all the way down for a pitcher. There's not that much hitting.
Yeah, so you can see, I mean, Norris is like the key to the Dodgers. So if the Dodgers are your favorite stack and you play Norris, you're going to be able to fit in full Dodger stacks. Plus, you're going to get leverage off of the Houston bats. And you're going to get another stud, whether it's Snell, Carrasco, or if you want to go with Garrett Cole. I think Cole is a little bit overpriced, and I figured he was going to be more highly owned than Snell and Carrasco because of the matchup with Detroit, and everyone loves targeting Detroit. But he's my third favorite out of those three studs. So you can see what you can do with Norris right here. I mean, you can basically get in whatever you want, but besides the Astros, obviously, because you're throwing your pitcher against them. Really tough spot for Norris, but he does have the ability to miss bats and escape with double-digit points here, which is maybe all you need.
So go ahead and lock in Carrasco and Tyon and see what we get.
Carrasco. How do I... God, I never remember how to do this.
Just scroll up to the player pool. Scroll all the way up.
Oh, I see. And just make new crunch. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, just lock them in and see what happens. I'm curious to see what type of team.
We'll make 20.
See what they give us. See if there's actually...
Yeah.
So you can still get quite a bit of the Astros in there and the Dodgers.
Yeah, you see anything that jumps out to you here?
I'm just, I'm surprised that you can load up on Astro bats and Dodger bats like that. It's tough for me to see if they're the good ones, but there's definitely quite a bit of upside in those lineups.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely an interesting way to go. That $200 or $2,000 about that you're saving, getting off of Snell or Carrasco to Tyon is allowing you to do a lot with your hitters. So
yeah, it opens it up. I mean, Tyon's not as good a pitcher as Cole or Snell, but or Carrasco, but I think it just look, he's Tyon. The way I see it is with Blake Snell in this matchup with Cleveland, he's an amazing pitcher, yeah. and you love everything about the guy, but there's a couple things about it. One, he's not super efficient because he runs a lot of deep counts and generally has a tough time getting through 7 innings. And the Indians are a team that they are very disciplined. They're not as good on the road, but they are very disciplined. So I think there is a definite possibility that that Snell and Tyon finish with very similar fantasy production. I wouldn't be surprised to see Blake Snell with a couple more strikeouts and Tyon go an extra inning or two, because the one thing Tyon's done very, very well is outside of that last start where he still wasn't bad, he pitches regularly pretty deep into games, and he's got pretty good stuff. So Tyon would be the guy if I didn't want to play Norris, I don't want to play Discofani or Ponce de Leon. Tyon would be the guy that I would drop down to. I think it's really just that simple for me.
Yeah, I agree. I think you can get to basically everything you want to with a Tyon Carrasco or Tyon Snell pairing. So
yeah,
you're probably just gonna have to punt once or twice with your hitters, but you should be able to get in a full 4 or 5 man stack at the very least of the Dodgers or the Astros, if those are the two you want to go to.
So too.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's. I think that's good for today.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, we obviously wish Josh all the safety in the world, and hopefully he'll be back soon. We're definitely going to continue to pump the content out for you guys. And until then, we will see you back here tonight. We won't be doing a process show, just as Josh, again, dealing with some hurricane stuff, which is far more important than being able to get his face on a screen right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we will be back for tonight's shows. You know where to find us, awesemo.com. Until then, good luck in the early slate. Jake, any last words?
Yeah, good luck on both these slates. Yeah, stack up on that early pitching. That's what I like, the early top pitching. So good luck, guys.
All right. And we'll be back with you tonight to break down more in-depth content for the 8-game main slate. Until then, we will see you next time.